Today's video is on Blender scripting, which you can find in the aptly named Scripting tab. If you are in a new Blender file, this tab will be empty and you will have to open a new script. The first step will be to paste in the Python script I have provided in Box. At the top of the Blender file, you will find an area to input a mesh folder and a render folder. In Blender for Windows, it's important to use 2 backslashes between folders instead of 1. Make sure that your mesh folder contains all of the location ply files in Box. It's also important to note that on line 51 of my screen, I say that each file begins with the letters LOC and an underscore. If your files are named differently, you will need to change this line to reflect that. It's also important to designate the first frame and last frame that you will render. These should be the same as the first and last time step in your data folder, in this case 0 through 20. Make sure that if you already have a file out for testing material and render settings in your scene like I do, that you make it invisible to the final render before you start your script. At the top of the Python file, I also reference a material called vert, and a set of nodes called toPart. These should be the names of the material and geometry node that you want applied to every file. You can re-watch the geometry nodes and materials tutorial if you want an example of what these might look like. These node sets must be named the same as in the top of the Python script. The name itself doesn't matter as long as it's consistent. When you are certain that everything is ready, you can now hit play on the Python script. It is a very good idea to save your file before hitting play, in case anything goes wrong. Note that when you do this, Blender will become unusable. However, if you have a Blender command window up, you can get some information on what's going on. You will also be able to see the frames as they come in the output folder that you designated in your Python script. If you want to pause at any point, you will have to close the entire program. Next, I will show you how to combine each frame into a complete animation. Open a Blender video editing file and go to the Add button at the top toolbar at the bottom of the screen. Hit the A key to select all images in a folder. In the bottom right corner of the screen, set the End box to be the number of files you have. In the top right window, you will also want to set the frame rate to be something low, like 5, if it's a short animation. Finally, at the top of the screen, hit Render, Animation, and click Enter. When it's done processing, the final video should be in the Output folder that you designated within the Output settings located with the printer icon in the top right window of your video editing screen. For me, my default is my temp folder.